Okay, let's get started. So today we are going to learn about solving a linear regression problem right from data cleaning or understanding, along with understanding the relationship between the y and x variables, which are your independent variables as well as dependent variables. So can someone who is not speaking go on mute, please? Okay. And also, we are also going to learn about model building and evaluation. So, what are the factors we need to look while fitting the model, and also like what are the actions we need to take post the model fit. So, let's get started with data cleaning and understanding. So, when you are looking at data, so that can come in multiple forms. So, like we discussed earlier, so that can be a flat file or flat file. By flat file I mean you have data which is there in a CSV file or a Excel or some text file, so which you can read directly into the memory and then perform operations on it, or it can be from a database, so where you connect to a SQL database for smaller or structured data, and maybe if you want to look at real or streaming data, you would look at options which are like MongoDB. So and for some of the applications you would try to scrape the data from websites. So those are a couple of the data sources which you would encounter, and within that data, so you would need to understand like what are the things you need to look for in the data. So first thing is, so what is the data type you are dealing with. So even before you go to the data type, you should also look.
Rajiv,
Yeah.
on your screen, just the message window, no Python workbook.
Sorry, can you please come again, Aman?
Are you showing something on the screen?
Yes.
But I can't see. It's just the message screen that I'm seeing.
So are you able to see the Discord screen right now?
I'm seeing your screen in which there is a message window. Last message is of Ankita.
Yeah. So are you able to see the screen now, which shows this uh, Python recording, Jupyter Notebook? Are you able to see?
No.
Okay.
Does
So
anybody else?
anybody else facing the same problem? Sorry, Vivek.
I can only.
Just a moment. Let me reconnect live stream. So is it visible now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, hey, thanks for pointing out, Aman. Uh, so would someone be able to share the link? Ankita was asking for that. I mean, I cannot just. To,
I have joined.
okay, great, cool. Okay, so let's get back to what we are discussing. So yeah, so even before looking at the data type, you should focus on data consistency or completeness. So you should ensure that you have the complete set of data and you're not looking at only at a partial set, maybe due to some transfer issues or due to some corrupted files. So that is something which you ensure first and foremost before looking into data aspect of things. And also once you ensure that the data is complete and you have all the required number of rows and the fields or the columns which you are supposed to get, so then you should understand what is the data type of the fields. So this is important because of mainly two reasons. So firstly, because of trying to establish a relation. So it is not while it might be straightforward to understand the relationship between two continuous variables or two discrete variables, it might be tricky when it comes down to the point where you should find the relationship between a continuous variable and a discrete variable. So that is where you need to understand the data type. So for example, if it is a categorical variable, like say for example your variable fields are labels like A, B and C. So this is your variable C1, and this has three values A, B and C. So you can so based on and you have a dependent variable, so which is Y, which is a continuous variable. Okay, so this is a continuous variable. So based on this, you can at a later point in time you can try to convert this into one hot encoding, so which would look like this. So this variable C1 can be converted into one hot encoding vectors based on whether A is occurring, B is occurring or C is occurring. So and that is why you need to understand what is the type of the variable. Now after the data types, so you should also understand like what are the, so you might consider every variable as a continuous variable, but you should also worry about the range of the data. So for example, if you get the temperature of human body, so that you should ensure that it should lie within the practical ranges. So for example, if it is something between 95 degrees Fahrenheit to say 103 degrees Fahrenheit, so 103 or 104, then that is a acceptable range, but it shouldn't be something like starting from 80 till 150. So that is not an acceptable range, right? So these are the things which you need to look for the consistencies, or you should also consider this as a part of your outlier treatment. So that is where you need to look at the range of the data. And one more thing which we need to look at is the missing values. So for example, there is a variable called again let's take the same example, something like a tire pressure. So for example, they are trying to analyze the accidents based on the tire pressure of the vehicles if the data is captured. So for example, if you are looking at a F1 race or something, so where they are trying to detect the tire burst based on the pressure of the tires. So that might range from, say, depending on the size of tires, some 50 mm to say 80. So and there are some missing values here where you do not have adequate information. So you should be able to, so depending on the problem, so we might either choose to exclude those rows from the analysis where you do not have adequate data, or you try to interpolate or extrapolate based on the information which we already have. So this is dealing with missing values. And also one more important aspect which we also need to look at is the data scaling. So for example, if you have okay, let me clear up this a bit. So if you want to look at value, so it is a field basically, so which talks about the salary of a large set of people. So that might range from, say, if you take in dollars. So I'm talking about monthly value. So it might range from, say, $500 to, say, $15,000. So for these kinds of things, so you might want to scale these values, or scaling is basically like we discussed in earlier sessions. So this would introduce a lot of variance in the data. So by scaling, what we are doing is we are just trying to uh, making it appear more normal. So that is the reason why we are scaling or normalizing the data. So that will help us deal with the data in a easier way. So we'll understand in the subsequent example why scaling helps us to deal with it more easily. Okay, now yeah, let's directly cover the remaining aspects. So once we are getting into this example, I'm just exiting the rewriting mode. Okay, so you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So now let's look at some real life example where we want to look at the number of count of bikes depending on the weather for that particular region. So first thing what we are trying to do is, so we are just trying to solve a linear regression problem. So the outcome of the linear regression problem, as most of you are already aware, so it is trying to help us understand like what are the factors that influence the outcome or the y variable. So how are your predictors impacting your dependent variable? So that is the first and foremost premise of linear regression problem. Okay. So now I'm downloading this data, and don't worry about the code. And also, like I promised earlier, so I would definitely try to give in additional comments with respect to the Python code, which I am showing you right now, so that it'll be easier when you try to learn, or if you already know, that is well and good. So first what I'm doing is I'm just executing this curl command. So this is basically a shell command, so which I'm executing in the Jupyter notebook. So I'm just downloading this data regarding the weather for weather station data. So if you execute this command, it will download that CSV file, that fremontbridge.csv. Okay. Next is you're trying to download, and there is another data set here, so which I already have, that is called this bike sharing CSV. So what we are doing right here is, so we are just trying to merge these two data sets. So bike sharing is related to the number of count of bikes that were shared on that particular day, and also the attributes for that particular day. What is the temperature of the day, what is the precipitation, etc. And also we have the count of from the weather data, what we have is we have the count of bicycles for different locations on the given time and the day. Okay, so I'm importing that data. So this pandas module is very useful in performing data frame operations in Python, so that you can read about it if you are not aware. And this pandas.read CSV will help us read the CSV file data. And once we read the data, we are just looking at what does the data look like. So this data frame dot head, this particular statement, so that will show like what are the top 5 rows of the data frame, and what can I expect from that. And if you observe, I've been using an argument here in this read CSV, where I'm trying to assign index column right here while reading the data itself. So the index column you can see in the bold font, right? Even the rows are like bold compared to others. So that means that it is an index column. Even for the bike sharing data, you see that the index column is the date, so which is like in bold, and these are the parameters. So where we want to look at, like what is the station name, what is the precipitation level, and is there any snow, and what is the temperature max and minimum temperature, and what is the wind velocity, etc. So this is the first thing what you need to do while loading a data for the first time. Now, one thing to mention here is, like when you get the data, you should also ensure that whether the data is in aggregated form or not, because there might be multiple days if you are trying to do a daily level forecast, and there are multiple dates where you need to aggregate, or multiple cohorts. So for example, if you are looking at this station name, so there might be multiple stations across which you need to aggregate. So that you need to ensure that you have the aggregate levels to build the model. And to compute the daily traffic, so what we are doing is, so I am using this function, so which most of you may not, for those who haven't used Python earlier, so they may not be familiar with this. So what we are doing here is, we are just trying to resample the date on the dates, so that we are covering all the dates, and we are trying to aggregate, which is sum operation here, for those dates. So wherever the bicycle traffic is 0, that date will show up as 0, right? Now, so we are just trying to sum along the vertical axis. So that is axis is 1, and we are just saying that, okay, daily means here it is the total. So we are just assigning the data frame itself to that total value. So, and thereby we are also removing the other columns. Okay. Now we are also adding additional dimensions to the data, like whether it is a day of the week, what day of the week it is. So because if I give a date as a value, you may not get much information from that as a predictor, right? But if you know whether it is a day, what day of the week, like it is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or is it a weekend, so based on that, that will give more features, right, to learn something from the data, because the bike hiring patterns might differ from the weekday to weekend, and also it depends a lot on the weather as well, so which you'll be seeing in the coming part. Okay, so what we are doing is, so we are just trying to so initially we had only this part till total and the dates, right, from the previous step. After this particular step, what we are doing is, we are just adding a categorical variable which says it is a Monday, yes, 1 means yes it is a Monday, and it is a Tuesday, and so on. So that will give us some information. And since this is a US data which we are dealing with, so Pandas has some inbuilt holiday calendar for the US from the US federal. So so it helps us to get whether it is that particular day is a holiday or not. So we are looking at holidays from 2012 to 16, and so we are also trying to say, okay, we are joining our existing data set with the holiday data, and also wherever it is not a holiday, so what will happen is, if you perform this particular operation, that joining operation or the merge operation, so what will happen is, wherever it is not a holiday, it will display as NaN. Okay, that is like a null value, you can consider that. And wherever it is null, so we are doing that fill NA. If it is NA, then we are filling it with 0, and in place true means, so it will try to do it on the same data frame, which is daily. Okay, so after this operation, so our set looks like this. Okay, now let's proceed on to the next part, which is feature engineering and scaling. So feature engineering, one part we have already done in the previous step, so where we have added the day of the week and holiday, whether it is holiday or not, as one of the features. And now so we are also doing some more things, so which we'll just try to go through. Okay, so now if you go through the data, they are shared in 1/10 of degree Celsius, and now to take an action, so what we are doing is so we are dividing this by 10, so that will give a 1/10 of the degree Celsius. And bike temperature, okay, what we are doing is we are taking average of the temperature as well. So where we are saying, okay, we are adding average temperature, so what we are doing is we are adding T min and T max and taking the average of that. That is nothing but multiplying by half or dividing by 2, both mean the same. And so we are also converting the precipitation from mm to inches by dividing it with 254, that is a precipitation level. And also we are also adding one more field or one more predictor, saying that whether it is a dry day or not. That is this is a yes or no or 1 or 0 kind of thing. So wherever the precipitation is 0, what we are doing is it is a dry day. Okay, now we are also merging this weather data with the bike sharing data now and the bike sharing data. So what we are doing is we are adding these fields. Okay, now if you want to yeah, so after this one, so we are also trying to capture the deviations in the daily values of this precipitation, temperature and dry day. So that is what this particular step is doing. And if you want to see like what it looks like after all these additions, so you can again type in daily.head. So you can see, okay, so these are things that get added. So you can ignore these portions for now because we'll come to that step now. Now we are also trying to add the look at the daylight hours for these days. Okay, and we are also trying to plot this daylight hours, so like what time is the daylight there, because usually cycling bicycles are hired during the daytime, so that is where we want to understand these additional factors as well. Now we are trying to handle the missing values. So in this particular case, for sake of simplicity, so we can we decide to drop the missing values. So and the reason why I chose is that initially we had about 1341 rows, and once you drop the missing values, it is just dropping down only one row. So that is the reason we are dropping the missing values. And axis 0 means we are dropping all the rows. So always remember that axis 0 is the rows and axis 1 is the columns. And in place again, so if there is any missing data, how is like we are putting the condition, like what is that? So if there is any missing data, drop that entire row. Okay, that is what we are doing here. Okay, so we have come to the end of this data cleaning and handling the missing values. So any questions till now?
Raju, Ankita here.
Yeah, Ankita.
So I understand that we did data cleaning, but don't we need to see the correlation or something
Yes.
like that to understand that what features we will include?
Yes, yes, that is there. So that is our second step basically. So from whatever we are saying here, so we need to see whether these independent variables are correlated, and how many variables to use in the prediction, and is there any variable transformation required. So I will be coming to that in the subsequent portions. So, but for simplicity and to understand the basic flow, so we'll just go with this. And yes, whatever you have said is that is the most important part, and we'll be coming to that sooner in the lectures.
So basically, we do data cleaning first and then we decide the features, because let's say there are, let's say, more than 50 columns in my data set. So
Yeah.
will I do processing like on the cleaning part first and then I'll try to figure out that what all are the relevant features, or how exactly you do it?
So exactly as in, so say for example, okay, let's get into that boarding one. Okay, so let's talk about a quick example basically. So for example, you have a, say this is my x variable, so which is like age, okay, and y variable, so which is life expectancy. Okay, so if I'm looking at this age, so I cannot do any correlation between that raw and unclean variable, because I might have multiple problems here. So one is missing values, and other is outliers, and there might be some scaling issues, or distribution may not be even, right? So for example, I might have the median age as so the mean age as like 50, right? And there might be a lot of skewness in the data. So for that, I might have to handle this missing data differently, and scaling will help uh, understand the relationship between my x and y variable, right? Because if you don't do scaling, so the problem is, so for example, when I try to compute the estimates, right, alpha with respect to, so if I try to model this as y is equal to alpha into x plus some error plus error term, okay. So in this case, this coefficients might be very high if the age is high, right? So the scaling, what will help is, so it will help me standardize the scaling. So if I want to understand what is the, so by changing x, so what is the unit change in my life expectancy? So that will I'll be able to understand only if there is a standardized coefficient. So that is the reason I'm talking about all these missing data treatment and data cleanup before we get into the correlation, etc.
Yeah, I understood. And one more question, like, have we done scaling? Like, I remember somewhere we divide
Yeah,
based on the number of days.
yeah. So the
So,
scaling we have done in one of the steps. So where we are trying to understand the deviations over a period, right? The annual variable which you are saying.
yeah.
So that is where we
Okay,
have
and
done. Yeah, sure. Please go on.
yeah, and then we normalize as well, right? Our data, like
Yes.
subtract the mean and divide by standard deviation. So that we will do at the end, like once we figure out probably all these variables which we are going to fit in to our model.
Yes,
At
that
that
is
time, we
the
will.
scaling aspect or the normalization. So that what we do is, so we try to subtract each of the variable. So if I consider x as a variable, and I is the ith value. So for example, this is x, so this is x1, so on till xn. So for any variable, say xi here, so I'll calculate the mean of this. So I come subtract the mean. So here what we are doing is, and divided by standard deviation. So this is also referred to as z scaling, right? So this is one of the ways we scale, and this will help us convert the data. So it will try to scale which is close to the mean. So it will bring the data distribution closer to the mean. So that is what this scaling is doing. Okay. So this is one of the ways, and there are multiple ways as well. So what they do is they try to look at the range. So like x max minus x min divided by mean. So that is also one of the ways they do it. So what they do is, so they divide the xi divided by x max minus x min. So that is one of the ways they scale the data. So there are multiple ways, and the choice I think varies between different schools of thought.
And shall we go ahead with, like, I don't know, but is it happen like we can go with multiple of this scaling factor? Because in one of my project where, you know, I can, if I see the code which one of the data scientists has written, so he has first divide the data based on, so the data is basically aggregated based on month. So that is the reason I think he is first divided by the number of days in a month, and then he has applied this you know, normalization technique where we are subtracting mean and divide by standard deviation. So
So
is it like we can apply? Yeah.
So you're talking about the first thing where you say that is divided by the number of days of the month. So that is a kind of aggregation basically. So where you want to get to the lower level of analysis. So for example, it is a daily analysis. So you would want to look at the daily numbers rather than a monthly number, right? So that I'm not talking about normalization. So normalization is eventually when you try to perform some kind of a scaling operation, so which will try to reduce the variance or the some kind of skewness in the data.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on then. Now, yeah, so we reached to the place where we are going to fit this linear regression model. So now let's see like what is going to happen if so now I'm not looking at the correlation between the variables which we need to look at, and also we need to understand like if the variables are internally independent variables are internally correlated. So for the sake of simplicity and understanding, let's try to fit a model first. Okay, so now I'm deliberately removing some of the variables so that we'll know like what will be the impact later. So when we try to include these variables in the prediction, now we are trying to include these weekday flags and day of the week flags and holiday flag along with the precipitation level and whether it is a dry day or not, and also the temperature. So to predict the total bikes. Okay, so I'm now defining the set of predictors. So this daily is the data set which I'm using for the modeling, and if I say daily and the column names within square brackets, that means that all these variables will be picked up at the time of my model building. Okay, so these will form my set of predictors, and I'm going with my y label as the total. Okay, now from there is this sklearn API in Python, so within which there is a linear model and this has linear models. When I say linear model, it could be linear regression, even logistic regression is a linear model. You can see logistic regression and logistic regression CV, which is a cross validation logistic regression. So now if how I call this fit is so I try to define my model and I assign it with this linear regression, And then so there are two options. By default, fit intercept is true. Now I'm not fitting my intercept. So basically I'm trying to make a assumption that okay, my irrespective of what my intercept is, I'm just fitting the model on my predictors. Okay, so this is how you call a fit in Python. So you're trying to assign a model to this variable model, so which is my linear regression, and fit your x variable and y variable. Okay, so fitting a model will train the model, and then this is the way you predict. So if I include a new column in my data set which is daily predicted, and I just call it by saying model.predict. So this predict method, which is used on my x or the set of predictors, will give me the predicted y value. Okay, so now just let's run this and see. Now the fit is completed given the size of our small data, and I'm just trying to get the R-squared values. So to get R-squared value, so I'll say print model.score x and y. So that will give me my give me the R-squared value. Okay, so if you see, the R-squared is quite less, right? It is 0.26. So like we discussed in earlier class, this means that my predictors are only able to explain only 26% of the variance in my dependent variable. So that is not something which we are looking forward to, but we need to have better variance explained by our predictors, right? Now if you also plot these actual versus predicted values, okay, so I am just trying to predict the total versus predicted, and look at the plot now. So you see that there is a huge variation between the actual value and predicted value. Blue is the actual, and this orange is the predicted. Now if I want to look at the model coefficients, so I try to so model dot coef underscore will give me the model coefficients, and to get to get what they correspond to, I try to call this index argument, which will give me the what columns are corresponding to those coefficients. So if I run this, so you will see that okay, so these are the coefficients, so which are corresponding to my predictors. Now I cannot make much sense out of it, and you need to get the standard errors also, right? Like these are not the exact values, but these are bound by certain limits. So this value plus or minus some error will help me understand like what is the range of my predictions, right? So for that what I am doing is, so I am just resampling this data and then trying to get the standard errors around my predictions. So if I run these two statements, so what will happen is, so this is the standard error which I am getting, right? So if you remember in the last class we have discussed like how the error should be and all. So you can try to plot this error and look at like what is the distribution of this error. So is it making sense with respect to whatever assumptions we carried out. So those are the things which we can do additionally. And to get the standardized coefficients, so we are using a different module, because this a particular API linear regression doesn't give this information or summary. So what we are doing is we are standardizing both my y and x variables using a z-score. So the computation which I showed, where you're trying to subtract the mean and divide mean from the x value and dividing by the standard deviation. So that will give us this values. So where you see that R squared you got as 25.6, and adjusted R squared is also close to that. And what is the standard error, and what is the p-value. So this p-value will help us understand whether the variable is significant or not. So for practical considerations, if this value is less than 0.1, so then that is likely causing that is likely a significant predictor for my y variable. So if you see only x9, x10 and x11 are the variables, so are the ones which are giving adequate information for the prediction, right? So now let's go back to this selection of predictors and see like what will be an impact if I add two additional variables. So one is daylight hours, and then what is the annual deviations in my precipitation and temperature values. Okay, now I rerun my model again and try to get the R squared value. Now you see it has improved to 38.65, right? So you can clearly see that they are adding additional value to my prediction and more predictive power to our model. So these two predictors are definitely important. And if you similarly try to look at the predicted and actual value. So now these are like slightly better compared to the last plot. So where they are just trying to understand grab that pattern which is already there. So this is not the end of it, but we should be able to try to understand the correlation, like Ankita was asking, that correlation between the variables, and then try to see like what are the different ways we can transform the variables. Can we do a log transform, or can we do a polynomial transform to make the understanding of the model and also the fit better. Now if I look at the coefficients for predictors, so then you'll see there is these new variables are added, and so they are causing significant change in the prediction coefficients, sorry. And similarly the standard errors would also be would also have changed. And also one thing we need to notice, so when we are adding these predictors, so the other effects of other predictors also would change, maybe a little, because all these days of the week and all, so they won't change. So there is also an idea where we try to see like what is the effects of these categorical variables. So for example, if it is a dry day or not, so this is just a flag. So if it is not a dry day, so what this exactly means is, so if it is not a dry day, so then my estimates would go down by 9,333 since it is negative, and there is a significant amount of variation. This is approximately 8%, right? And so these are the ways we need to try to interpret. And also one thing which I want to just quickly inform you is that, so there are some other effects of which we are not considering. So there might be some kind of autocorrelation between the predictors, so which we haven't tried. So we will be doing all that tests of it along with the variable transformation for the same problem in the next lecture, that is tomorrow. So I would like to give the next 5 minutes for any questions you might have on what we discussed today. And also I'm sure we'll discuss more on this variable transformations tomorrow, but so I would like you to look up variable transformations and also tests for the goodness of fit. So if you are interested and can come prepared for the next session. Yeah, so I'm done with the lecture today, and I'll just allot the next 5 minutes for questions, please.
Rajiv, just one question.
Yeah.
So can you go little up like this previous cell notebook? Yeah. So here, where we have this effect or error you have printed.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that for dry day, let's say it's coming as 933,
Mhm.
which means it has a negative impact probably based on this number.
Correct.
But like, is it anything to do with unit of measure of each of this? Like because every field is having its own unit, right? So can we say directly that way the impact, or can explain that part?
Yeah, so see, these effects are like so these are overall effects. Okay, so there is also this standardized coefficients concept, right? So where if you try to include everything, standardize everything, so those all should add up to 1. So here, and one more thing we need to remember here is that there is no intercept here if you observe this closely. So if you use intercept, there might be a chance that intercept might have very high value. So that will usually happen. So when the predictors are not providing much information, and according adjustment is made in the intercept part. So if you want to understand like a one-to-one correspondence, so where a unit increasing any of the x, say dry day, corresponds to some other x unit change in y. So for that you need to look at the standardized coefficients.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Thanks, Rajiv.
Yeah. So any other questions, anyone?
Raju, are you going to share the, that assignment first? Are you going to share its solution?
Yeah, I'll share the solutions, and I was actually hoping that someone would be sharing that, but I think, yeah, I think I can share the solution right away. So I'll also try to discuss that quickly by taking around 5 minutes in tomorrow's class.
Sure.
So if nobody else has any other questions, so I'll try to close it, and we'll connect tomorrow.